Hello everyone. Sorry I am late. Tonight I was on the Jyrone Karama's show and he was interviewing me, talking to me about technology and being a black man in the industry. If you do not follow him on social media, Jyrone Karama, or on YouTube, Jyrone Karama, check it out. It should be uploaded by now. But how's everyone doing? How is everyone doing? Today, we are going to be talking about technology in war. And what do I mean by that? I mean the technology of war, rather. I mean both domestic and foreign. How is technology used on the battlefield? And the reason why I bring this up, in case anyone isn't aware of what's been going on with the North Korea situation, Pyongyang has deployed a missile, an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, that is capable of reaching all of the U.S. mainland. Every part of it. So, Nikki Haley, the UN ambassador for the U.S. ambassador to the UN, went to an emergency security council at the UN and basically told all the countries in the UN cut off all ties with North Korea, specifically saying cut off all the oil and all diplomatic relations. And there was heavy pressure on Russia and China. Don't want to bore you with the details, but basically Russia was like, the U.S. is provoking North Korea, and China was like, you guys need to solve this diplomatically. But so I've been seeing a lot of people talking and fearing about nuke attacks and fear of war breaking out. And I'm like, look, they have one missile. They have one nuke that we can shoot from space and destroy before it even got outside North Korea. We, on the other hand, I think have either 58 or 6,800 nukes with far better guiding technology and whatnot than what Pyongyang has currently. What I am more concerned about is North Korea's hacking army. For those of you who do not know, the North Korean regime recruits hackers, civilian hackers, basically into their army. They have a whole cyber army that we cannot F with them. Look. So the title of this stream is The Technology of War. And the reason why I called it that is because if war does end up breaking out with North Korea, I'm more concerned about the covert war efforts that would happen. I mean, our military is they pretty much got that on lock. And with our other allies, if we ever have to go to war, you know, it would, I'm sure it'd be over pretty quickly. But the Cold War that's going on, you know, I'm more worried about them hacking our grid. I'm more worried about them doing their own version of stuck nets on our nuclear arsenal. Does anybody here know what Stuxnet is, or doesn't know what Stuxnet is, rather? You know, I'm just gonna describe it. So back back in, what was the exact year? What is this? Something I changed my thing from Google, some weird something. All right, when is Stuxnet? Okay, Stuxnet was first uncovered in 2010. So Stuxnet was a computer worm that was used against the Iranian government. Okay, and let me tell you what. Let me tell you how Stuxnet work. So, well, let me go back and describe the situation. So, the Iranian government basically had this nuclear facility, and people were worrying that they were making nuclear equipment for arsenals and warheads and whatnot. So around 2010, there was a computer worm that was discovered, and this computer worm was dubbed Stuxnet, Stuxnet, and I'm trying to find all specifically what it did. Yeah. So basically what this computer worm did was it infected the computing operating system that controlled the nuclear arsenal. And it was a man-in-the-middle attack. So basically a man-in-the-middle attack is when you have a piece of code that is pretending to be some function. Like if process A is supposed to talk to process B, then the man-in-the-middle attack would pretend that it's process B, get the data from process A, do what it needs to do, and then send the new data that it wants to process B. So it was a man-in-the-middle attack that faked industrial process controller sensor signals so that an infected system does not shut down due to detected abnormal behavior. So it actually overrode the control system. So like let's say the nuclear reactor got too hot, right? If it got above a certain temperature, then the code would automatically shut down the nuclear reactor. It was a failsafe. So part of what Stuxnet did is this man-in-the-middle attack is that it pretended to be when the error codes would go off on the nuclear reactor, Stuxnet would pretend to be the handler for those error codes, and then it would in turn send the new error. Well, I mean, it wouldn't really be error codes. It wouldn't send the error codes to the actual processor. So the main computer, the infected computer, think that everything was going okay with the nuclear reactor when it wasn't. So that was the first, and those computers were Windows-based systems. So this attack attacked three different systems. So it attacked the Windows operating system, and then it attacked the Siemens PCS7, WinCC, and Step 7 industrial software applications that run on Windows. So the first part actually infected the operating system. The second part infected the application that was used to control the nuclear reactors that was on the operating system. And then it also infected some of the Siemens S7 PLC, so the controllers used on the actual nuclear reactors or whatnot. So Stuxnet attacked Windows systems using 4 zero-day attacks. And for those of you who do not know what a zero-day attack is, zero-day is a terminology used by hackers that describes a computer hack that is not known to the public. That's where the term 0 day comes in. The hack has been known for 0 days to the public. Do you know that if you discover a 0-day hack, you can go on the dark web and you can sell that 0-day hack for millions? You can sell it to the government. Do you know how many 0 days the government owns? They pay hackers millions of dollars. You won't hear about it in the paper because it's supposed to stay a 0 day. But these people get paid millions. So use 4 0-day attacks. Okay. So, and the thing about 0 days, because no one knows about it, that means there's no fix for it. That's what makes them so powerful. So they use 4 0-day attacks, and 2 vulnerabilities. And it was initially spread by somebody putting it on a USB flash drive. So that means it was an inside job. So somebody was in Iran. They plugged this USB flash drive into the Windows computer, and it contained some Windows shortcut files to initiate some executable code. The worm then used other exploits and techniques such as peer-to-peer RPC, which is a communication protocol, to infect and update other computers inside private networks that are not directly connected to the internet. So a lot of these systems were on their own subnet. So they're not connected. So they're on their own internal network within the bigger network that's connected to the internet, but them themselves are not connected to the internet. So these are like critical systems that you don't want hacked. So you make it so that only computers on the network can talk to it, but you can't talk to it from the internet. Am I making sense? Let me know if I'm not. Where was I? Okay. The number of 0-day exploits used is unusual as they are highly valued, and malware creators do not typically make use of 4 different 0-day exploits in the same worm. Amongst these exploits were remote code execution on a computer with printer sharing enabled, and the LNKPIF vulnerability, in which file execution is accomplished when an icon is viewed in Windows Explorer, negating the need for user interaction. Stuxnet is unusually large at 0.5 megabyte in size. So this, okay, keep that in mind. This program was only 0.5 megabyte. I want you guys to keep that in mind because that's very important. And written in several different programming languages, including C and C++, which is also irregular for malware. The Windows component of the malware is promiscuous in that it spreads relatively quickly and indiscriminately. The malware has both user mode and kernel mode rootkit capability under Windows. For those of you who don't understand what the difference between is user mode and kernel mode, when you write an application, to do certain things on the operating system level, your program has to run in kernel mode. It has to request permission to do that because you're messing with things that could make or break the computer. Most applications run in user mode, so it's kind of like in a sandbox, if that makes sense. And its device drivers have been digitally signed with the private keys of 2 certificates that were stolen from separate well-known companies, J Micron and Realtek, both located at Hsinchu Science Park in Taiwan. So the device drivers are signed. So if you want to make sure that you are putting something on your computer that is trusted, especially if it's from like a device, like if you buy a mouse or something, they're digitally signed with these certificates, and it works on a public-private key system. And these certificates are usually issued from authorities that are well known and respected. In this case, it was J Micron and Realtek. But Stuxnet stole the private keys and replicated them. Stole the private keys from the company, so it made it look like it was legit, even though the hacker was using it. The drive signing The driver signing helped it install kernel mode rootkit drivers successfully without users being notified, and therefore it remained undetected for a relatively long period of time. Both compromised certificates have been revoked by VeriSign. 2 websites in Denmark and Malaysia were configured as command and control servers for the malware, allowing it to be updated, and for industrial espionage to be conducted by uploading information. Both of these websites have subsequently been taken down as part of a global effort to disable the malware. So that was part 1. All of this was part 1 of the 3-tier hack. Okay? So this was the Windows infection. Me, myself, I'm a Linux man. I use Linux. I have a Mac. I also have a PC computer, but it's dual boots with Linux. Part of the reason is because Windows is very unsecure. I don't know what Windows is like now, but part of the reason why like Windows used to get like really slow back in the day when you use it over, like when you use it over and over and over, it's because Windows logs everything. It logs everything. And you know, that's how like they can track you. They can read that if they want to. Don't let it don't get it through your head that these companies, just because they say they won't do something doesn't mean that they won't do it, because they are people and people lie. If they have the capability of doing something, there's a good chance that while they may not do it 100% of the time, there's a good chance that it has been done, that there is a condition in which they will do it. They have access. I mean, if they want access, they can get it relatively, especially if you're on a company Windows computer. If you're on any sort of Windows enterprise system, I mean, you can kiss security goodbye. Oh, by the way, before I forget, you guys can call in at any time. The phone number is 502-791-6409. Again, that is 502-791-6409. I am welcoming all calls. We are talking about the technology of war, and right now I'm talking about Stuxnet. And the reason why I'm going into such detail is because having a basic understanding of how technology is used in war, or can be used in war, is very important, so I don't have to explain some of the things I'm going to talk about later. So moving on, we're going to step 7, software infection. So this is the second part where they hacked the software that was on the operating system. According to researcher Ralph Langner, once installed on a Windows system, Stuxnet infects project files belonging to Siemens WinCC PCS7 SCADA control software, also known as Step 7, and subverts a key communication library of WinCC called S7OTBXDX.dll. Doing so intercepts communications between the WinCC software running under Windows and the target Siemens PLC devices that the software is able to configure and program when the two are connected via a data cable. In this way, the malware is able to install itself on PLC devices unnoticed, and subsequently to mask its presence from WinCC if the control software attempts to read an infected block of memory from the PLC system. The malware furthermore used a zero-day exploit into WinCC SCADA database software in the form of a hard-coded database password. So let me run that back. The software, when you connect these devices to the computer, okay, with the data cable, the software that controls how that data is read when you connect that data cable, there is a library in the code, and instead of using the WinCC library, they replaced all the communication. They replaced that communication library with their own library that performed the same functions ultimately, but had their hack in it. So that when you plugged into devices through the data cable, the PLC devices did not know a difference. Okay. And then there was a 0-day exploit with the database software that went with it because somebody had put a hard-coded database password, like a root password or something, and they found it out. So they can just use that password, which is a good example of how social engineering is the precursor to, or my bad, yeah, social engineering is the precursor to hacking. So last but not least, we'll go to the PLC infection. So the entirety of the Stuxnet code had not yet been disclosed, but its payload targets only those SCADA configurations that met criteria that is programmed to identify. Stuxnet requires specific slave variable frequency drives, frequency converter drives, to be attached to the targeted Siemens S7300 system and its associated modules. It only attacks those PLC systems with variable frequency drives from two specific vendors, Vacon based in Finland and Ferraro Paya based in Iran. Furthermore, it monitors the frequency of the attached monitors and only attacks systems that spin between 807 Hz and 1210 Hz. The industrial applications of motors with these parameters are diverse and may include pumps or gas centrifuges. Stuxnet involves malware into memory block DB890 of the PLC that monitors the Profibus messaging bus of the system. When certain criteria are met, it periodically modifies the frequency to 1410 Hz and then to 2 Hz and then to 1064 Hz, and thus affects the operation of the connected motors by changing the rotational speed. It also installs a rootkit, the first such documented case on this platform, that hides the malware on the system and masks the changes in rotational speed for monitoring systems. So how did this work? What does that mean? So on the actual PLC system that controls the various systems for the nuclear reactor, there's a bunch of motors, okay? And these motors are meant to spin between the frequencies of 807 Hertz and 1210 Hertz to be fully operational. So what this hack did was that unnoticed, it would take the motors and it would jack the frequency up to 1410 Hertz, and then it would immediately slow it down to 2 Hertz, and then immediately spin it back up to 1064 Hertz, and doing that over and over and over. And that caused the rotational speeds to differ, and basically the engines locked up and the nuclear reactor essentially melted down. A lot of people say this was a joint effort between the U.S. and Israel. I'm not going to comment on who I think it was. You can do your own research. But this is a perfect example of how using remote software. Now, granted, yes, this had a component. Somebody had to plug in that USB. But once you plugged in that USB to that first computer, it would hop from computer to computer. And that's the thing that makes it scary and dangerous. Because now from your couch or from your office or from wherever you're at, you can now shut down a freaking nuclear reactor with some code. That was only half a megabyte. Half a megabyte. That is, that's pretty scary, honestly. Think about it. You know, people have hacked engines, made engines blown up. There was a man, so there's this hacker conference that happens every year in Vegas, okay? And the biggest hackers all come out there. Like one year, they would hack the ATMs and all got free money. You know, they just go and just hack shit. Well, one year, there was a dude who was supposed to give a talk on how you can hack a heart defibrillator from, I want to say 50 meters or 50 yards, you know, some distance away. You know, you can hack this heart defibrillator. You can adjust the voltage, send a voltage shock, and you can stop somebody's heart. And a couple of days before he was scheduled to speak, he was found in a river or creek or something. I don't know if they ruled it a homicide or suicide. But, you know, long story short, somebody didn't want him giving out that kind of information. And that's because we've come to a point in our society, in our economy, in our just everyday living, where technology is it's becoming the cornerstone of how society functions. So, because we have this global economy, I don't believe that we're going to have much more like large scale war, especially in metro areas, because we live in this global economy, and you know you can't have you're not going to go blowing up San Francisco because you guys need Twitter and Facebook in your other countries. So the global economy is all reliant on tech. But what I do think we will start seeing is we're going to start seeing more large scale hacks. Our power grid is not really stable. It's not really secure. They're gonna start hacking power grids. Like why bomb New York City, right? When I can just like hack key areas of the power grid and just starve people, like, and just wait till it's like the coldest part of winter and just turn off all your electricity. You know, like you can't trace it. Like why would somebody want to hack in that manner? Like, because like I said, North Korea, Russia, like why would Russia want to meddle in our elections? I don't know. Like, why did Hitler start the Third Reich? People who have, I'm just saying, you need, if we ever go to war with North Korea, I'm more scared of their hacker army than their physical army. Their cyber army is on point. Look, just do some research on North Korea's cyber army and see what you find. I'm not afraid of Kim Jong-un nuking us. I'm afraid of our grid getting hacked and in the middle of winter. That's what that's more concerning to me. So to answer your question, why would somebody want to hack in that manner? Well, if you're a deranged person or if you're at war, I mean, another thing about war too is you got to think economically. Like you don't have unlimited resources. So would you rather, if you're commanding an army and you're like, hey, we can either spend $500 billion a year sending troops and planes or whatnot, or we can spend a couple $1 billion on some programmers and different technology and do things cyber, which brings myself to the next point. So that's foreign. That's foreign warfare, right? What back on the domestic front? You know, we have cameras everywhere. You know, like if you live stream on Facebook and for example, they actually did this. A woman got on Facebook Live and was talking about how she wanted to commit suicide, and Facebook was able to alert the authorities and give her exact location, right? And people were like, "Oh man, that's great! You know, the woman was saved. I'm pretty sure she got some help or whatnot." But like, I don't think anybody really stopped and thought about how much power that is. Like, what was that? What was that woman? Was it Corinne Gaines? When she was live streaming, when the police came and shot her and shot her son or whatever, and then they pulled the video off, like before they called and had that video taken off while it was still live. I think it was something crazy like that. That's what I'm talking about with domestic war. Do you know that the Department of Defense has smart dust? They have smart dirt, nanotechnology. These are robots that can be equipped with cameras. They can be equipped with microphones. They can be equipped with bombs. And they look like dirt. Like you and I would not be able to tell. It is smart dust. You know, they can, if they want to spy on you, they could just fly a plane overhead and just drop some dust out the plane. You know, have the trajectory set of where it's going to land and whatnot. And now they got microphones across a 25-mile radius. And I mean, I know the things in mass are got to be like cheap as hell to manufacture. So, you know, our government doesn't want to spend money on like teaching tech, but they sure will spend a crap ton of money on technology in their weaponry. I don't know if you guys have seen, if any of you guys have played Watch Dogs 2, but in Watch Dogs 2, there's these little security robots and in the game. And a couple companies have actually like made those robots in real life, security robots. And now, you know, they got robots that can run and flip and jump. And soon seeing a police officer in uniform is going to be like a novelty. It's going to be robots patrolling us. And it's hard to outrun a robot if it decides to shoot you, since, you know, their accuracy is much higher than that of a human. The alleged Dallas shooter, they blew him up with a robot. He didn't even get his due process. He got blown up in the parking garage by a robot. Who do you hold accountable for that? Let's say that let's say, you know, in 25 years, there's RoboCops on the street and somebody gets shot unjustly. You know, there was a malfunction in the system or whatnot. Who is held accountable in that part? Not like police are being held accountable now, but I mean, would you hold the programmer accountable? Would you hold the police station or the police chief or whoever signed off on ordering that robot? Do you try to punish the mayor? Who do you punish? And you couple that with smart dirt. I mean, come on. we need to, and when I say we, I'm talking that the country, we need to understand what the threats are. The threats are not military threats. We're not in danger of being nuked. We are not in danger of being invaded by any country. But we are in danger of being hacked. I mean, that's already been proven with the past election. You know, not only did Google have to speak before Congress or Google, Facebook, and Twitter and all of them have to speak before Congress for the Russian hacking U.S. election, they also got to speak before the EU in their investigation of Brexit, because now they're saying that Russia influenced the Brexit decision. This is being done from scripts written. Do you have concerns that the robots we create could possibly turn on us? I'll get on that in just a second. But you know, these were programs written that changed the course of our election in the U.S. and changed the course of the election in Britain. That's cyber warfare. Whether you realize it or not, that is cyber warfare. And we're losing on that front. Now, to answer Sengode or Sengode, is it Sengode or Sengode? Anyway, do you have concerns that the robots we create could possibly turn on us? Yes and no. So, given how computers operate right now with transistors and electricity, no, because even if we got to the point where conscience is developed, if a horde of robots started to turn on us, you know, we're just one EMP away from just disabling them because they operate on electricity. Now, if these robots are built on quantum technology, then maybe not, because they might not necessarily be running on electricity, in which case the EMP may not work. But that's, you know, hopefully we'll be dead and gone by that time. We don't have to worry about it. Hopefully transistors will be around for the next couple hundred years. But your next question, technology is evolving at a much faster rate than humanity, and that's sad. You're absolutely right, actually. We're at the point where our algorithms, so machine learning and AI, computers are learning at such a fast rate that our minds, especially one person, we cannot physically comprehend the complexity that computers will generate at with these self-learning algorithms. Did you know that Facebook had created a self-learning algorithm, and that and they had to pull the plug because the two programs started talking to each other in a language that the engineers couldn't understand? They learned the English language, then they created their own language, and that was not programmed in. It wasn't programmed in. That's scary. That's really scary. We have come to the point where, yes, computers are evolving much faster than we. I'm actually going to start a course on artificial intelligence. It's actually probably a good time for me to talk about this. So right now, you know, I'm doing my business tech talk Tuesdays and my political event tech talk Thursdays. And I'm doing my full app Mondays. I think I'm going to do algorithm Wednesdays, and I'm going to do beginner Fridays. I may hold off on the Friday because I really want to promote my lecture series. Because when I do stuff on live, Sometimes if there's too many questions, I don't really get as much done or I get sidetracked, and I really want you guys to grasp it. But I'm definitely going to be doing Algorithm Wednesdays, and I'm going to be talking, I'm eventually going to be doing artificial intelligence and machine learning. But Sean Goday. Okay, cool. Cool, Sean Goday. But call up. Why don't you call up? Phone number is 502-791-6409. I love to hear from my callers. What? That's kind of cool. Yeah. Call up, Sean Goday. But yeah. So we just need to be aware of what's going on and what's being capable of. Do you know that DARPA has a bullet now, and he has a gun that shoots bullets, and these bullets can change flight trajectory mid-flight. These bullets have computers in them, and if you shoot at a moving target, you lock onto the target. Let's say that target like zigzagging, like a gazelle or a rabbit or something, right? So I don't know if it's heat seeking or if there's a camera on it. But in either case, once it locks onto the target, if there's wind pushing it or if the target moves, the bullet will actually change trajectory mid-flight. It calculates where it needs to go and it hits the target. Like I said, there's cameras everywhere. Did you know that like the face recognition algorithms are like on point? They can probably look at your face while you're walking down the street and pull up your birth certificate, your DMV records, and all that in less than 10 seconds. I mean, shoot, I know me, myself, as an individual programmer, I can write an app that uses, whether it's Instagram or whatever service, Facebook or whatnot, and if your stuff is out there in the public domain, I can search your face and find out who you are. I can get your name. If you got your address and stuff out there public, I can get all that. I mean, it's just a matter of actually writing the application. And this goes back to when I was saying, don't forget that Stuxnet was only 0.5 megabyte. Think about this, okay? If you build a car and then you decide once that car is finished that you don't like the body of that car, you want to make the body, instead of a sports car, you want a SUV now. It's not readily easy to make that change and change that car from a sports car to an SUV. There's going to be price and time requirements to it, and it's going to look different, right? It's going to look different. That's the main thing. If you write a program and you put it on a thumb drive, you cannot tell if that program is 0.5 megabyte or if it's 0.5 gigabyte. You can't tell by looking at it. You can fit information and processing and into these little devices, and you can do it over and over and over. You don't like it, you can go in and change the code. You don't like that, you can go in and change that code. That ability to compact all that information into a compact device, that's powerful. Think about that. You can change a few lines of code and your program went from being Stuxnet to being an airplane control box that's controlling the autopilot feature. You can change a few more lines of code and now it's your smart car. You can change a few lines of code and now it's a payment processor. I mean, when I say a few lines, that's relative. but you get what I'm saying. So I try to keep these streams under or at an hour. So in these last 15 minutes, I'm going to hand it over to the people who are on the live stream now. Do you guys have any questions? Do you guys have anything you want me to address and talk about? It preferably with this topic, the technology of war. However, it can be whatever topic you like. And in the meantime, with those listening, do not forget to check out my website, JyroneParker.com. That is JYRONEPARKER.com. We have my Code Life t-shirts on sale. We also have other stuff in the stores to check out. Some of my selected reads, some of my selected computer devices to program on, and the Koji programming kit for kids. Also, if you're not following me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, you can follow me at MasterShake08, MastaShake08. See, that's why I want to get into coding. LOL. I mean, get into coding. Look, go on my website, and I want you to get one of the front-end programming kits, okay? And what this kit is, it's a Raspberry Pi, and it's a computer about the size of a credit card, okay? And what is going to come pre-installed, all you got to do is just turn it on and get the coding. It's going to come pre-installed with everything you need to get into web programming. It's going to have the server installed. All you're going to have to do is plug it up to your TV, forget about it. It'll have instructions on how to remotely go into the computer, and it's going to have a tutorial series on how to get started writing your own front-end web apps. You can get that on my website. I'm actually going to put a link right here in the live chat while we're talking. Oh, I'll put my email. Just head over there and head over to the shop, and it's the front-end programming kit. And all these lessons are made by me. So you're actually getting my knowledge. I'm giving you the best practices and stuff that I learned while I was at Apple, when I was at Dell, when I was at GE and Sephora and other places. And it's designed not only to teach you the basics of coding and to get you into the field, but to get you thinking like an entrepreneur. So you can write your own apps, even if you don't want to write your own apps to make you money, but like learning how to write apps to benefit you and yourself, not just writing apps for a company and making that company money, if that makes sense. But do we have any questions? And here's the link. As a person who's possibly interested in coding, do you have any advice on how you go about doing so, or any references? So this is what I tell everyone who has never coded before, where they want to get into coding. Coding in and of itself is a vast universe. Okay, so people who do video game coding, they go about things differently than people who do mobile app coding. And with other different kind of areas. So the question I would ask you personally is, what do you want to do as far as coding? When you picture yourself as a coder, and I'm asking you this for you to answer this question right now, what do you picture yourself doing? And then I can give you a more direct answer. And like I said, you're free to call up, bro. If you want to call up, I think this is a very important conversation. A lot of people ask this question, and I think you would be helping a lot of people by letting them hear your voice and ask the question. Because when people watch this stream later, they're not going to see the live chat like how you and I are seeing right now. So you should definitely call up. The phone number is 502-791-6409. And oh, something going out in my street. You guys hear that? Oh no. Anyway, so you said because I'm totally a baby to this. You're the one who got me interested from watching you and Jyrone earlier. Okay, well, this is even better. This is an even bigger reason why I say you should call up and we should have this conversation over the phone. But going forward right now, like I said, what do you picture yourself doing? So for me, I'm a web and mobile app developer. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I've dabbled in robotics and other areas. But yeah, I don't. Let's say you want to do web development. Okay, app coding. All right, so you got web apps and you got mobile apps, which I specialize in both. So what I suggest is web apps, because the thing about web apps is, one, it's the fastest growing category. Everything is going to the web, and you don't need any special configuration tools to get started with writing web apps. There's another reason why I promote my front-end web developer kit, because it's already got everything installed. And you can quickly write your own apps using like services that you already use, like Facebook, Twitter. Oh, you're listening on your cell? Okay, fair enough. So I would learn JavaScript, and I would get started learning web apps. Just some references for you. One is YouTube, because there's free tutorials all over the place. For example, MIT, Stanford, and I believe Harvard as well have their courses online on YouTube for free. And then you got Code Academy and stuff like that. And then w3schools.com. I'm just going to put that in the chat for you. Is it .com or .net? Let me make sure. Yeah, w3schools.com. That is the #1 website that I used growing up when I was teaching myself how to code. And there you can learn JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, which are the 3 building blocks for the web. And you can also learn some back-end stuff like PHP and database SQL calls and stuff like that. So I suggest YouTube, and I suggest W3 Schools, and I suggest that you get started learning JavaScript. And like I said, if you head over to my website and take a look at the shop, I include 5 apps in the package. So it starts off, if you've never coded before, by the end of the tutorial, not only do you have a new computer, you're going to have 5 apps on there, and it walks you through uploading these apps to what's called GitHub, which is like a social media platform for programmers. So G-I-T, and I'll put this in the chat hub as well. GitHub is, or Git is a program that's used to develop programs. So if you're working, whether you're working by yourself or you're working with 100,000 programmers, if you all need to work on apps collaboratively, you check your apps into Git, and GitHub is a place where you can store your Git projects. So if you go to github.com/MasterShake08, you'll see all my public apps that I have on there. And how many apps do I have publicly? I have a lot. I have 126 apps on my GitHub. And so why I stress GitHub is because most companies won't even talk to you unless you got something on GitHub that they can actually see. So at the end of the end of the series, you have 5 apps. You understand JavaScript, and you have put these apps out on GitHub for the world to see. And you're technically ready to start taking junior level positions and start going out and working out in the world. So those are all the references that I really recommend. But I mean, but at the end of the day, it's just going out and doing. You know, like I said, I always stress to people, write apps that will make your life better. What's something in your life that you need? Like, for example, when my first son was born, I was getting back into Android. I left Android for a while. I was getting back into it. So, you know, we had to keep track of how much we were feeding him and whatnot. So I wrote an app. Like, every time he ate or he went to the bathroom, I could just pull up the app and I could keep a counter of it. And it, you know, I can make a graph. I can look at analytical data and be like, oh, okay, he eats on average 6 times a day, around this time, and this time, based off the data. Just little stuff like that. It doesn't have to be complex, but literally just coding every day and doing something, is gonna. We're creatures of habit, right? So if you code every day, even if it's 15 minutes, you're going to notice one day your brain's just going to think differently. Real talk, some of your friends or colleagues or whatnot, you're not even going to you won't even be able to connect with them in the same way, because coding changes how you think. I don't know how to explain it, but if you stick to it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But everything you'll look at and you're like, how can I code this? How can I make this more efficient? So, and I do appreciate you sending me in the direction I need to go. Ain't no problem. This is what I'm here for. This is why I started this channel, is to get the word out to anybody and everybody. Is there any more questions for you? Is there anything that you like to ask or add? And I'll be glad to answer. We got 5 more minutes left on the stream before I get off. So I can probably take 1 or 2 more questions. Oh, goodness. It's been a busy day. Lots of deadlines. But, you know, once again, everybody, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, GitHub, at MasterShake08. And remember to go to my website, JyroneParker.com. If you want to support this channel, please go and check out my Code Life t-shirts. I have a link available in the description. The shirts are right now are only $10 until the end of the year. And if you buy a shirt, you get 50% off of my ebook, From Noobs to Artisan, when it drops in the spring of 2018. This is a book that's going to take you, well, it's a web series, I'll say ebook, but it's a web series that will teach you how to go from a novice programmer to a Laravel expert. And these are going by creating apps and increasing complexity one week at a time. Of course, if you can go through it faster, you can go through it faster. But you can get that at JyroneParker.com. Description is in the, or link is in the description. But like I said, I got time for 1 more question. Anybody? We got lots of people in the chat room. So any question whatsoever. Quick update. How do we create access for more black adolescents? Coding, that is. Okay, nobody feel me enough, thank you. How do we create access for more black adolescents? So the access in and of itself, all the stuff is already out there. All the resources that you could possibly ever need. You do not need to spend 1 penny, because it's all out there on the internet. That's the amazing thing. That's why the internet is the greatest invention of human existence, because we are in the information age. So what I suggest for a lot of adolescents, the thing is that they need to see, you know, if they're not seeing somebody essentially balling out with it, they're not going to be interested. That's why they're looking at the athletes and the rappers and whatnot. And this is actually something, because I tested this. I did like a little social experiment, and because I don't really talk about how much money I make in this field very often, but I noticed that, you know, unless I was wearing Polo Ralph Lauren, I was wearing my jewelry or driving in one of my nicer cars, that's when like the younger kids would listen to me. So, you know, they especially they want to see somebody like that looks like them. You know, showing them a Steve Jobs or showing them a Mark Zuckerberg is only going to have a limited effect because they can't socially connect with that. They can't culturally identify with a Mark Zuckerberg, but they can culturally identify with me. And you know, another thing is I'm not. You gotta show them somebody who can culturally and societally relate to them. So other than that, I would say try to tie in technology with what they are interested in. Like if they're interested in sports, you know, go out your way and look how IT interacts with sports. You know, how those two things cross over. Because like I was speaking to Urema earlier, name me one sector where computers do not intersect that sector. There isn't one. So another thing for adolescents, sometimes you have to coax them by tying in what they already know and like, because they kind of have like an inertia effect. They don't really want to, they think they know it all. They don't really want to try new things. So sometimes you have to gradually switch them over. But the last thing that I would tell somebody to do is force their kids to do it, because you don't want to have a rebel effect where, you know, they just out of spite of, you know, you telling them what to do, they don't want to do it at all. So, you know, I think there's an excellent website and an app called meetups.com. And depending on where you live, I guarantee you that there is a group with the, you know, minorities in engineering or something like that. Or even if it isn't a minority based thing, just start taking them to these meetups. A lot of them are free. They're at public venues. There's usually food and music and stuff like that, because programmers like to party. We all like to party. So take them to these meetups. Let them see the non-TV side of it, because TV just makes it look like, you know, Big Bang Theory nerdy. Like it's not like that. You know, we're some cool people. But it's all about exposure, and you don't need to pay a penny for that exposure. So, you know, go to these meetups, show them different videos, show them different articles, depending on whatever their interest is. Find out how computers and IT relate to that interest, and then show it to that person. That's what I would suggest with adolescents. Let me know if that makes sense or not. I feel like I rambled a little bit. But once again, take all this with a grain of salt. These are my anecdotal experiences. But you know, I'm only 25, so I'm close enough to still remember my adolescent years, and I know it was a weird thing, right? So like, I got into coding when I was young, but I actually didn't know what a computer scientist was until I was older. You know, I knew I didn't realize that a programmer and a computer scientist were related fields. I know they're exactly not the same, but you know, I saw a black computer scientist, and I was like, and I heard him speaking. I'm like, hey, that's what I do. Like, I didn't really know that programming. I didn't really know much about the monetary part, because like, I just had a love for it growing up, man. I wasn't really thinking about money when I'm 10, 11 years old. But yeah, I mean, just literally seeing that black programmer completely changed my perception. So I really think seeing a face is important, which is another reason why I am trying really hard, especially for next year, to do more public speaking engagements. If you guys, if there's anywhere you guys want me to speak at, definitely connect with me, because it's very important with me that I get this message out. Thank you. I'm a graduate student and work with a lot of adolescents, and I'm trying to get them to take interest in the field. Oh, that's awesome. Where are you a graduate student at, if you don't mind me asking? Because that's really awesome. Like, I would love to, if you're working, if I don't know if you're doing any field work or anything, but I mean, I would love to know more about what you're doing and see if there's anything I could do to help. I'm gonna put my email in the chat room, and you can just email me directly. All right, there we go. But we're at an hour 5 minutes. I think I'm gonna get off here now. Once again, don't forget to connect with me on social media, MasterShake08. Go to my website, JyroneParker.com. If you haven't already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and tap that bell so you get notifications when I go live. I typically only go live, so I definitely I like tonight. I like having this exchange. I appreciate you guys. Keisha, that's cool, sister. More people need to get into this field. Yeah, absolutely. Like, the more the merrier. Like I said, there's going to be over 14 million unfulfilled jobs in the sector by 2024. We need this. Like, University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Okay, cool. When I say we, I mean not just we as a people, but we as a nation. Like, we really can't afford to not get in this. So, if you got younger brothers and sisters, do them a favor and get them into coding. And I mean, it doesn't even have to necessarily be coding. We still need network engineers and whatnot. But the thing is, with automation, even a lot of tech jobs are going away because developers are able to automate other stuff. So, like, programming in and of itself is safe from automation, because you're always going to need human hands to develop something. Even if you're developing AI to just like self-coding, you still have to have a human somewhere. Anyway, we could talk about that for another time. But once again, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the back and forth. This was very much welcome. And don't forget, you can always call in. Next week, I want somebody to call in. This is great having the conversation over the chat, but when the video's saved, the chat messages don't become comments. So the people who come later can't see this wonderful back and forth that we're having. But I digress. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. And also, never let limited minds limit your success. Peace.